Every single year, we gas ourselves up thinking this is the year. You start talking a bunch of smack in the group chat, having all the confidence in the world, and then Tua goes down with another concussion, and your Tyreek Hill, yeah, he's the worst player in fantasy, and no one wants him or wants to trade for him. But this year, we will change your draft strategy. These are the players that we already researched for you and will help you win leagues this year in 2025. We are breaking them down on exactly why they've earned that level of trust, starting off with our first player, Mr. Olsen. Take it away.
Player number 1 on our draft list, Devonte Adams. Last year, traded to New York, quarterback carousel, even with that 85 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and 8 tubbies, over 14 games, that's wide receiver 10 numbers. Now linked up with Matt Stafford and lining up opposite of Puka Nacua, that is scary. That's not a volume issue. That is a defensive scheme nightmare. With Puka demanding a lot of the attention underneath in the slot, Devonte is going to feast in single high coverages and down the field routes. And Stafford has always supported 2 top 15 wide receivers. Think Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, OBJ. Right now, Tay and Puka together, those guys are going to be able to have the volume and the talent to go a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 pairing. Tay this year kind of reminds me of 2020 D-Hop. He just got to Arizona from Houston, right? Little uncertainty with Kyler and the chemistry and the offensive coordinator at Arizona. What did D-Hop do? He went freaking nuclear. 115 receptions, over 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns on 160 targets. Finished as wide receiver 4 in PPR formats. 2020, the Cardinals led on Kyler Murray and D-Hop, and Christian Kirk was still there in that wide receiver room. So the volume, Stafford last year, over 500 passing attempts, is not going to be a problem with Tay and Puka. My ceiling for Tay Adams this year, top 5 wide receiver in PPR, 100-plus catches, 1,200 yards, double-digit touchdowns. The floor, mid wide receiver 2, 80 catches, 1,000 yards, 5 to 7 touchdowns. I'm drafting Devonte Adams late in round 3, possibly early round 4, depending on where your draft ends up.
And that's why I took him in our own Bob Keeper League in the 3rd round. He's going to be a lightning storm, baby.
Yeah, you snagged him for me. Thank you very much.
That was a great pick there, bud.
Sorry!
If you think we're just stopping after one guy, buckle up. That's just the appetizer, baby. We're only getting warmed up here. Wait till you hear the last name on our list. This dude might break fantasy football.
And that leads us to our second guy, Mr. DJ. Take it away.
If you're sleeping on Ashton Genty this year in fantasy, wake up. The rookie running back out of Boise State, who was just drafted by the Raiders, just landed in a dream spot opportunity, and he's got league winner written all over him. Genty's a dual threat back. Now he steps into a new Raiders offense with a new quarterback. That might be a huge need for quarterback checkdowns. That's fantasy gold in PPR formats. Pete Carroll plus Chip Kelly, a fantasy cheat code, ladies and gentlemen. Carroll's always been a run-heavy coach. Think Marshawn Lynch, think Chris Carson. Chip Kelly brings the tempo. In his first 2 years with Philly, the Eagles were top 5 in red zone pace. Now you combine that, Carroll's team averaged 53 plus red zone trips per year, top 12 in the NFL. Kelly's offense ran 3.9 red zone plays per game. This means volume and goal line work for Ashton Genty. Now the ceiling for Ashton Genty this year, around 15 to 18 total touches per game, 1,200 to 1,400 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns, and he has potential of finishing as a low RB1, high RB2. Now, a floor is looking anywhere from 10 to 12 touches per game, under 1,000 yards on the season, and possibly 4 to 6 touchdowns, a solid flex, maybe a solid spot start. Don't wait till it's too late. Ashton Genty is a mid-round running back who can definitely win your league this year. We are high on him. I took him in round 2 of my Bob League Fantasy Keeper League this year.
Shout out you Dynasty League Keeper Leagues. Ashton Genty needs to be on that draft board. High up there, boys.
Now, before we get into the next player, which may completely change the way you strategize your drafts this year, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to win your leagues this year.
Ashton Genty, a great pick there. For our third player, we're going to push it on over to Clay. Clay, who's our number 3 player for this year's draft.
Give me Garrett Wilson. He is primed for his best season yet. He's already posted back-to-back 1,000-yard campaigns with 10 different quarterbacks in just 2 years. 10. That's crazy. Now comes Justin Fields, who ranked top 5 in deep ball accuracy last year and extends the play like no other. Okay, think about it. This is going to be Mr. Ohio State. They're best friends. They played in college. These two are primed to go nuclear this year. And Justin Fields is going to finally get the opportunity with the Jets. However, Wilson had the 4th most unrealized air yards in 2023. Fields will target that all season long. He's got a 42-inch vertical. He runs a 4.3, and he's a top 10 elite route separation runners out there in the league this year. Wilson's about to feast all day long. This isn't hype, boys. This is numbers and reality. Book him for a 1,400-yard season, 10 touchdowns. This is going to be Wilson's breakout year this year. And if you thought I was done loading up on sleepers, oh, no, baby. The next one. He's the kind of pick that's going to make all your league mates panic this year.
Omar Hampton. In 2024 at UNC, the kid rushed for over 1,600 yards, had 15 rushing touchdowns, and caught 38 balls for 373. In full PPR formats, those 38 receptions are going to make a huge difference for your squad. Harbaugh has made a point to stack up at the offensive line and establish the run game early and often. Though Hampton is going to split time with Najee Harris, I believe over the course of the season, that split will favor Hampton over Najee because guess what? Najee couldn't win the job over at Pittsburgh anyways. Omarion's giving me Bucky Irvin 2024 vibes, right? Bucky was splitting time with Rashad White last year, but once he came into that role around week 9, he really started to put up fantasy production. After Bucky had taken on that role as a true bell cow, he would have finished as running back number 6 in full PPR formats. My floor for Omarion this year, anywhere between 175 to 200 fantasy points, putting you at like RB 22 to 28 range. My ceiling for Omarion Hampton this year, upwards to 250 to 300 fantasy points. We're putting at like running back 6 to 10. That's that RB 1 set and forget category that you're getting from a rookie. Where I'm going to pick up Omarion this year, anywhere between round 4, maybe even late round 3, depending on how your freaking league mates draft, if they're just swooping up running backs early. Now, if you think that guy's a league winner, just wait till you see who we're targeting next. This one might break fantasy this season.
DK Metcalf is built for dominance. You guys forget he's still 6'4", 235 pounds and runs a 4.3. Now he gets the most accurate quarterback of all time, Aaron Rodgers. Don't forget Aaron Rodgers threw up some real numbers last year. Despite the inconsistent quarterback play, Metcalf has averaged over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns per season. He's been doing this a long time, folks. He's geared up for a hell of a season. Last year, he ranked top 10 in red zone targets and deep targets. Okay, that's a pretty good strategy right there for Aaron Rodgers. Yet he left over 400 unrealized air yards on the table. Now he has Rodgers. In his last dance season, Rodgers led the NFL passer rating on throws. 20-plus yards from 2018 to 2022. With Rodgers' precision and DK's size-speed mismatch, this duo is going to be lethal. Expect double-digit touchdowns and a career-best efficiency from Metcalf in 2025 this season. Now, these guys didn't crack the top 5 that we put together, but please do not sleep on these guys. If the draft falls right, they can still be league winners in the right situation.
Deebo Samuel is gone, and Jawan Jennings just became one of the biggest sleeper wide receivers in fantasy football. Locked in as a wide receiver 2 in Kyle Shanahan's offense, that's a role with serious upside. And nobody's drafted him high enough. Jawan Jennings has always been the glue guy. Clutch on third downs, very physical after the catch. Now being a full-time starter opposite of Ayuk in one of the most efficient passing offenses in football. He's got chemistry with Brock. He's dangerous in the red zone. And now he's going to see consistent targets for the first time in his career. We all know Kyle Shanahan's system is elite at manufacturing yards after the catch. The 49ers rank 2nd in scoring, top 5 in red zone TD rate, and number 1 in yards per play. With the defense focusing on CMC, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Jennings is going to eat on soft coverage, especially over the middle of the field. And don't forget, with Deebo out, Jennings slides into that big slot role, which has been money for fantasy in Shanahan's scheme.
T. Higgins, in 12 games last year, had 73 receptions, 911 yards, and 10 touchdowns. That's a 17.3 PPR a game pace over the full season. His 10 touchdowns tied for 6th most in fantasy last year, and with Burrow being back fully healthy, those red zone opportunities are going to be there. And then also with Higgins, Jamar Chase getting that bag this season, that Cincinnati Bengals offense you are going to want a piece of. And T. Higgins, you might be able to get it at a spot not paying that high premium draft pick as Jamar Chase or Joe Burrow or Chase Brown. Kind of reminds me of 2021 Chris Godwin, right? Took the backseat role, wide receiver number 2 role to Mike Evans, but performed and statistically was a wide receiver 1 in fantasy production. Based on those 2024 T. Higgins numbers, it matches exactly to Chris Godwin's 2021 numbers, averaging 17.5 fantasy points per week over the season. In 2025, expect anywhere between 120 to 130 targets over the full season. A strong bet for over 100 catches for T. Higgins. T. Higgins ceilings, you're getting wide receiver 1 caliber numbers. 90 plus catches, over 1,200 yards, 10 plus touchdowns like he did last season. The floor for him, wide receiver 3, flex, spot play availability, 12 to 14 PPR points per week. You're not going to want to see that go away. T. Higgins draft range this year, I'm going to go kind of late second round, early third round, depending on how fast those receivers get off your draft boards.
Chuba Hubbard is the only back in Carolina Panthers that they are relying on this year. Yes, they got Rico Dowdle and they drafted somebody. This guy's going to be the ultimate denominator in this offense this year. Last year, he finished with 1,366 all-purpose yards, 4.8 yards per carry, and 11 touchdowns. That was in a split backfield with the guy that's gone again. Don't worry about him. He ain't coming back. It's Chuba. From weeks 8 to 18, he was RB11 in fantasy PPR scoring, quietly becoming the dominant workhorse, and he is ready to roll this season. He ranked top 10 in yards after contact, and with Carolina leaning into the run game under a revamped offense and no clear threat behind him, clearly, Chuba's in line for a 1,600 all-purpose yard season and 15 touchdowns, baby. Steal him in the 3rd or 4th round. He's going to be this year's breakout back of the year. And that's the list, folks. These are the 5 players we are drafting every league this year, plus a few honorable mentions who could end up being straight-up league winners if this thing breaks right. Fantasy football success comes down to a few key picks, and these are the ones we are betting on in 2025.
Now, we want to hear from you. Who's your must-draft players this year? Drop it in the comments below or tell us who we missed. And if this helped you out, be sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, more draft tips, and fantasy gold coming all season long.
And thank you guys again for listening and subscribing. Let's go win some fantasy football leagues this year.
Let's go, boys!
Bang, bang!
Woo!